Hello and welcome, Brett here with Clickmill.co. In this video, I want to go through actually a newer decision-making model that I have learned when trying to create and make fruitful decisions in ministry and Christian business. And this is called the Bottleneck Decision-Making Model. And what is a bottleneck? Okay, so let's define a bottleneck. A bottleneck is like an old Coke bottle that's glass, and it's kind of bigger at the bottom. And as the bottle goes up, it gets thinner and thinner. And the bottleneck is the thinnest part of that bottle. And so if I were to shake up that bottle really, really, really good, and then take my finger off the top, that liquid, right, the Coke, can only come out of the cap, can only come out of the opening as quickly as the liquid can pass through the thinnest part. Now, if I were to, say, melt that bottle down and put something in there and expand it out, well, it could come out more quickly. And so this is what a bottleneck is. And in every system, and you'll notice I talk a lot about systems thinking is how we have to think about ministry. And we'll have videos on this in this course as well. But we're looking at the ministry, we're looking at the Christian business, we're looking at the family unit as a system. And so in the system, whatever it is, there's always a choke point. There's always a bottleneck. And that doesn't mean that the bottleneck is like hugely impactful. It could be, but there's always a part that can slow down the rest. And so how do I say this? As growth increases, it will always be slowed down by the next bottleneck. And there's always a bottleneck. When you solve one bottleneck, something else becomes the bottleneck. And so, for example, here at Clickmill, one bottleneck that I really had to solve was we get clients that come in, they say, hey, we want you to market our church. We want you to market our Christian school. We want you to, whatever it is we're marketing for people, we want you to do this. Well, we had a bottleneck where we had to set up some complicated sort of conversion tracking on the back end that required some custom code. And, it's like for me at that time, like I was capable of doing it, but it's also not my area of expertise. There are just people who just specialize in this conversion tracking for their whole career. So it's like I can do it, but it's very inefficient and it takes me longer than it would take someone else. And so the bottleneck is I can get clients faster than I could set up this tracking. It's like helps you to track. How do I say this to clarify this? Helps you to track when you're spending with advertising or marketing money, how much are you getting in return for those marketing dollars so that you can show it's worth it. And so that tracking setup is fairly complicated. And so the clients for a while were coming in faster than I could get these set up myself. So to resolve the bottleneck, I needed to find someone to come in with Clickmill and just focus on that part and just take over all of that conversion tracking setups for new clients. And now we've got a real wide flow able to go through that part because I'm no longer the one responsible for that. Someone else is doing that and they're very good at that. So not only are they more efficient, but that is their sole focus. And so now more new client setups can pass through what used to be a bottleneck and they can do that more rapidly. So that is no longer the bottleneck, which is awesome because what does that do? That opens our whole system to now be charged. And I'm talking about this like a charge the line, like you have a garden hose and you've got a kink in it. Well, everything after that kink is kind of empty and everything, all the water before that kink is backed up. And so you open that bottleneck. Oop, I'm hitting my mic. You open that bottleneck and then the rest of the line can charge. Amazing. Now you can actually use the hose. Well, now we can scale the business. We can have more clients coming in, but as soon as what happens, more and more clients come in, at some point, there's a new bottleneck. Because let's say I can scale up and take this many new clients a month or whatever it is. And now we can't produce, and I'm just making this up at this point, but let's say you can't produce enough search engine optimization. You can't keyword target enough pages. You don't have enough staff to write as many blogs as you would need for all of those clients. And so now you have a new bottleneck. Okay, well, hold on. We've got to slow down on what we can offer for blogs because we don't have enough writers now or something like that. And so now you have a new bottleneck. And then what do? You have to release that bottleneck, and that what opens up the ability to grow more. As you grow more, you hit a new bottleneck. So this is the mental model of bottlenecks. If you're trying to grow and you're not growing, is there a bottleneck in the way? This is not always yes. And that's why we're learning these mental models, because sometimes they apply and sometimes they don't. In this case, with the conversion tracking here at Clickmill, that applied. That was a serious issue, and I had to resolve that very quickly so that we could continue to offer services to new clients coming in a reasonable time frame. Now, that's not always the case. In your church, you're like, well, hey, we're not really growing. Maybe there's a bottleneck. Well, look at your systems and see if something is holding up the growth that's just not functioning at top capacity, and solve that bottleneck. But that may not be the case. And it may be the case that we're creating win-lose decisions, win-lose opportunities, and you'll see that in a future video. It may be the case that we have something structured incorrectly. It may be the case. There's a whole bunch of things that could be the case, and we're looking through each mental model to see which one makes sense and fits, and then you solve it. And so that's how this is supposed to work. So this is the bottleneck mental model. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and I will look forward to seeing you in the very next video. God bless.